girl, and yes, boy, and yes, whoever you are, if you're going through a breakup, you are so much more than your ex. Real quick before I start the video, guys, if you didn't already know, I have merch! I will put the link in the description below. If you find anything that you like, feel free to shop around, guys. This merch is lit, and there's so much more to come. I'm so excited! Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Childfree Millennial. If you're new here, hi, my name's Marcella. I'm 25, almost 26, child-free, living my best life, and today we're going to be talking about how to get over a breakup. So if you haven't been following me on my channel, first of all, subscribe. What are you doing? Just hit the button. We have such a fun time over here, especially because I use a lot of your guys' input into my videos. So recently I got divorced, and divorce is hard. I've talked about that in another video. If you want to check that out, feel free to. I've got that video up here. It's kind of emotional, but definitely worth watching before you watch this video. Or not, because who am I to tell you what to do? So obviously with divorce comes basically the start of a new life, in a sense. That's been kind of a harder transition for me, just because I was with my ex for about 8 years, and after being with someone for that long, I feel like trying to readjust your life and restart your life in a way that doesn't involve that person, and it's just focused on you, trying to do self-improvement, self-reflection, a lot of just like self-stuff, so that you can be successful in the next relationship and just life in general. So I asked you guys on Instagram if you had any tips or tricks. I don't want to say tricks because it's not really the right word, but if you had any tips on how to get over a breakup, a relationship, a divorce, anything along those lines. And you guys had such good ideas and input that honestly, like, I would feel so selfish to not share it with you and with other people who are going through a breakup and dealing with these kinds of emotions. So let's just jump right into it. So I'm starting off with distract yourself by doing positive things that benefit you and heal you. Like I was saying earlier, there's been a lot of self-reflection, self-evaluation, self-growth, self-improvement, all the self things that I personally have gone through. And I feel like if I hadn't put myself in the mindset of like, okay, what do I need to improve myself to help myself get through these emotions and through this really tough time, I feel like I wouldn't be in as good of a spot as I am now. I am by no means like perfectly healed. That sounds weird saying it, but like I definitely struggle. I have days where I'm sad, days where I'm depressed, days where it's so hard to explain unless you're actually in the thick of it. But I definitely think that there's a lot of truth to distracting yourself, and not even like distracting yourself, because I'll touch on that a little bit later, but just being able to focus on yourself and have more of a positive mindset about who you are and your self-worth, your value. Another person says, find somewhere productive to direct your energy. I trained for a triathlon. First of all, a triathlon is so freaking hard. I actually was going to train for a triathlon, and then I was like, maybe not. But I do a lot of running. And some of you guys did mention working out, being physically active, grinding at the gym, which I think are amazing ideas. That's something that I love to do. Running is my passion. I also love sports. And this sounds so weird, but just to like release the negative energy from my body by working out and just like sweating it out. That sounds so weird saying it. I hope that makes sense. But like just being able to release all of that energy and that negativity, and then just take a shower and wash myself off of all that stuff. Along with that, someone else says, learn a new skill. I definitely think that is so important, not only for like your self-growth and just to learn a skill, because learning skills are amazing, and as humans we should change and evolve and grow and learn constantly, but just because learning a new skill is for the most part a little bit challenging depending on what it is. And I feel like as you get your mind focused on something else and not just dwell in the past and kind of just like wallow in your sorrows kind of thing, it just really helps your mindset kind of shift and kind of change into who you are going to become. Oh my gosh. Okay, this next one made me laugh so hard. And it's funny because there were actually a lot of you who said something so similar, and I was just laughing so hard because I mean, let me just tell you, get under someone new, JK, but also like kind of JK, taking the time to heal instead of rushing it. That is so funny. I don't know. I feel like, yes, that is a thing that a lot of people do for sure. They get rid of their ex, get divorced, whatever it is, and they're like, okay, I'm just going to sleep with his best friend, or just sleep with the next guy that I see, or have a one night stand, whatever. You know what? If that's like your thing, then great. Go for it. No shame. Literally no shame. Whatever helps you cope, I guess. Just go for it. But taking time to heal instead of rushing it, I think that that is so important. Like I've been talking about this entire video, just a lot of self-evaluation, taking care of our mental health. I say our as if you guys went through the breakup with me or the divorce, but taking care of my mental health and being able to heal properly before I try to get into a new relationship, try to move on, try to, I don't know, reassess goals, make new goals, just basically heal myself from the literal trauma that I just went through. You guys are amazing. This one goes right along with everything that I've been saying. Focus on family, friends, and becoming a better you. I love this. I definitely have been focusing more on family. One of the very first things that I did after the divorce papers were signed was I got on a plane and flew to see my best friend. Even though I was able to talk and text and chat with her every single day, and she was like, shout out to Rachel, you know who you are, I love you seriously the most. Even though she was there for me through the entire process and still is there for me, she's my best friend, I just needed to be with her and to just get out of my element, which, I mean, if your best friend lives in the same town as you, great. But for me, I had to go a few states over and just spend a week with her. That was probably one of the things that healed me. I don't want to say like healed as if I would have like some kind of like, I don't know, COVID or something, but too soon? Maybe too soon. But being able to talk it through and be with someone that I trust, that I love, who I know loves me, who trusts me, was just, oh my gosh, it was so liberating. This goes right with what I was saying. Travel somewhere by yourself. That was so good for me when I got divorced. I traveled by myself, but I went to go see my friend, so I wasn't alone in the area. But I cannot stress enough, being able to get out of your element helps so much. Yes, it's kind of scary, and yes, it's very uncomfortable, especially because I almost missed my flight. Oh my gosh, I'll have to tell you that story time. That was that was actually so funny, but it might not be the most convenient thing. And for me, thankfully, it fit in with my schedule and I was able to make it happen. And it was definitely a very spur of the moment thing, but that is so important. Okay, this next one I thought was super interesting. They said, get lost in a novel or TV show. I think this kind of goes with like distracting yourself, or maybe, I don't want to say distracting because you need to feel the emotions, but being able to just calm your mind and kind of just step outside of like the reality of things and jump into a TV show, into a good book, a good series, whatever it is, being able to just binge watch a TV show, like who doesn't love doing that? Another person says heavy on friendships and hobbies. Yes, that goes along with learning a new skill, hanging out with your friends, your family, if you have siblings. For me, I've loved hanging out with my siblings. If I can't see them face to face, we'll text, we'll talk. I'll try to find some way to communicate with them because I know that I can trust them and that they'll always be there for me. This one made me laugh. This one is spot on. Girl, you know who you are. This was so good. She says, a freezable eye gel pack to calm your red puffy eyes from the inevitable crying. It's so true. And this goes along with something else that someone else said. Let yourself feel all the things without trying to distract yourself. I know that I have talked about this in my last video, but don't distract yourself with alcohol, drugs, work, school. There's so many things, but just sitting down and feeling the emotions, crying, hurting, feeling that pain, being able to just scream even. I know that sounds crazy, but I've definitely done my fair share of screaming in the corner of my room. As much as it sucked in the moment, I mean, crying sucks. It's not a good feeling. I mean, I don't know, some people might debate that, but for me, it's not a good feeling when I cry, but being able to cry and let out the emotions and feel the hurt was seriously the best thing that I could have done. Okay, this one was interesting. They said constantly replay the things you hated about them in your mind. Reprogram yourself. I actually really, really like this comment. That's not something that I would have ever thought about, but to reprogram your mind. So our minds are muscles, right? And being able to reprogram our mind, it's kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. There's a lot of things that used to trigger me, and there still are a lot of things that trigger me. I don't want to say that like I don't have triggers anymore, but there were a lot more things that used to trigger me, and I was able to kind of like sit down with myself and be like, hey, why is this triggering you? It's really not that big of a deal. This is something that is totally in the past. This does not have to be your new reality. And being able to reprogram myself was so just like crazy cool. I love this. She says, remind yourself who the F you are. Yes, girl. And yes, boy. And yes, whoever you are, if you're going through a breakup, you are so much more than your ex. And that was something so hard for me to realize and for me to just swallow, that I was going to be okay and that I deserved so much better than who he was and how he treated me. And like my little perspective was so small. I was so blinded that finally when I was forced to be away from him and forced to just move on, I realized, oh my gosh, like I was treated so badly, and like, I deserve so much better. And there's so many guys out there. There's so many good guys out there. I cannot stress that enough. I know that for me, I was like, I will never find another child-free guy. I'll never find someone who will love me. And I'm like, love me? Like, I was never even loved in the way that I deserved to be loved. I don't know. I just really love this comment. You are so much better than your ex. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, these next two. Go no contact as soon as possible and block them from everywhere. So I'm not gonna lie, I am not the kind of person to delete the pictures, the videos, the text, whatever. And maybe I will, maybe I will in the future. Right now, I have them saved in a folder. I don't really ever dabble in that folder, but that was a part of my life. That was a time in my life that I enjoyed. And so even though he is not that person anymore, and even though your ex is not that same person anymore, does not mean that those memories and those feelings and those pictures and those videos are not valid. But I will say that blocking them and cutting out communication is huge. Not going back and not turning around and not being like, what if, and not giving them a second chance. I mean, obviously each circumstance is so different. But for me, being able to just cut out communication and be like, you know what? What happened, it sucked, but now I need to move on. I don't need to dwell on the past. I don't need to stalk his social media. I don't need to be texting him. I don't need to be doing anything that regards him. And that has been so helpful to me just because I was able to put that behind me and literally step forward and jump into my new life. Okay, I love what this person says. Lastly, there's no special trick. We all have different ways to deal with it, but try to focus on yourself. Obviously, what works for me won't necessarily work for you or didn't necessarily work for you. It's very individual, and I always used to have a very closed-minded view when it came to divorce because I always thought, oh, they couldn't just work it out. They didn't try hard enough, And now going through it and being like, I literally tried so hard. And I'm sure there's many of you watching this who could say the same thing. I tried everything. It just didn't work out. And being able to be gracious and understanding of those who are going through difficult things. It doesn't have to be divorce. There's something to be said about people who are just kind. People who are kind to others because deep down inside, everyone is going through something. Everyone is hurting. Everybody is struggling. It might not be as severe as the next person, but everybody is going through hard things. And it's so important to just be graceful, to be kind, to love people, and to not judge them. It's not our place to judge people. It's just our place to love people. Thank you guys so much for watching and for answering my Instagram polls. I seriously appreciate it so much. I feel like I just want to give you all just like the biggest hug ever. You guys have been so sweet and so kind to me. If you're not subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. Give a like to the video if you liked it. Also, comment down below if I missed any ways that you guys have gotten over a breakup or have been able to get through a divorce, any of that kind of stuff. Like always, this is your life. These are your decisions. Live your best life. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.